It's one of the big recruiting weekends of the year, and it's the spring. That means it's G Day. Dean Leggy, Matt DeBerry, Matt. It really is an important recruiting weekend because of the future. Not necessarily this class, but this class is important too.
Absolutely. This is obviously one of the biggest recruiting weekends of the year. Prospects from across the country flock to Athens for this game. Kirby's made it a big deal ever since 93K Day when
Yep.
we saw just plenty of five stars in attendance. There's a good amount of five stars every year, and this year is no different. There's actually an official visitor this weekend. Most of that's going on in June, but Aaron Butler, a four-star wide receiver out of Calabasas, California, will be taking his official visit this weekend. They already have three wide receivers on the commit list with Nitro Showtime Tuggle committing a few days ago. Love that name. Can't wait to
Was
say
his
that for a
father was
while.
his father a wrestler in the '90s? I mean, he should
I
have
hope
been.
so. I hope so. Nigerian Tuggle was their third wide receiver. So this is an interesting guy to keep an eye on. So four-star Aaron Butler on an official visit this weekend. KJ Bolden, five-star athlete,
Heard a
top
lot
five
about
consensus
him.
player. Yeah, I love him at receiver, but I think Georgia is recruiting him to play safety. They already have four defensive backs, Dean, in this class for 24. So he's definitely a guy who has the green light to jump on board whenever he wants. Top 10, I think top five consensus player in the country out
Yeah.
of Buford. So somewhat right down the road. He's a big deal. He's going to be in town skipping prom, I believe. Another five-star at Buford told me they have prom this weekend, so he wasn't going to be able to make it. But KJ Bolden told me he'd be in Athens. That is a big deal. Ellis Robinson, another top 10 player in the country, five-star cornerback. He's on the commit list at IMG Academy. He's going to be in town the entire weekend. Peyton Woodyard, another kid from California. There's a California to Georgia movement going on.
Yeah.
He's making the trip across the country to be there for G Day. He's a four-star safety. Sokovia White, three-star wide receiver commit out of Cass High School in North Georgia, is going to be there. Malachi Tolliver, another three-star offensive lineman out of Cartersville. He's going to be in town. And those are just the 2024 kids. Multiple five stars in the 2025 class as well are going to be in town. I think, unless you want me to expand, I think if you want that information, head over to Dog Post.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep adding guys left and right. So the story that I'm going to be writing should be up on the site by the time everyone's watching this video. But it's a pretty big listing.
Yeah, couple of things here. First of all, number one, if you are on our email list, you get this, and that is growing by the day. So that's a steady growth thing. It doesn't cost you any money. Number two, we cannot go over everything on our videos. It's impossible. So make sure you're heading to the site. Number three, real quick, if you're getting double dogs, go to Red Zone. They've still got some confetti. I was on, there, so they've got some, but it's only in store. It's only in store. So if you're moseying on over to Athens for the weekend, the thing that I notice pregame, we go to, obviously we go to all the games, but um, there's a pattern. Georgia does recruiting on game days a particular way, and this is a game day. Well, you mentioned a bunch of five-star guys. What about a five-star? You mentioned a lot of 2024s. What I'm trying to spit out is, what about the 25s? Because to me, G Day is about setting the table for years to come, not necessarily the cycle we're in.
Yeah, a lot of 25s, a lot of 26s in town, and
Yeah.
then not just in-state guys. There's a kid out of New Orleans, Jakeem Stewart, who was going to push for the number one player in the country in that 26 class with Julian Lewis, quarterback from Carrollton, that everyone is talking about. He's very, very good. He will not be at G-Day, but a lot of these guys that are players that Georgia fans may not know about right now, but I can assure you that they are on the Georgia staff's radar, and some of them don't have offers, some of them do, but you know, at 93K Day, that's when DeAndre Swift decided, hey, man, they do it
Yeah.
big down here. They're
Yeah.
going crazy. I want to be a part of this. And there are plenty of out of state kids, younger guys who, may not be in this 24 class that everyone's keeping up with now, but are going to remember this. And they're going to, say, hey, I remember that experience. And in 2 years are going to be household names. And you can trace that back to this weekend and anytime they're on campus. But, five-star from Savannah's top five player in the country for the 25 class. James Smith, five-star from Spain Park in Birmingham in Alabama. Georgia's trying to get him on campus multiple times. I think they have a real shot. It's never easy to go into Alabama and steal a
No.
five-star away from the Tide, but they're doing everything they can. four-star tight end with another offer out of Alpharetta High School right down the road from me is going to be in town, and you know what Todd Hartley does with those tight ends. I mean, the guy just does not miss.
Yeah.
So if you're a tight end with a Georgia offer and you're on campus, that's a guy to know about. So, it's easy to talk about these 24 guys, the commits, the targets, but as you said, plenty of 25s, plenty of 26s that, I hope to share with Georgia fans for the next few years, talking about who these guys are.
And the natural question to folks is, will they get a commitment this weekend? That's hard to predict for sure. Is there anything in the water though right now that's out there?
There's a few guys that I have my eye on. A lot of these guys see the environment, and maybe Georgia's in their top 5, top 10 right now, and say, you know what, I want to play here. There's no more waiting around. I want to go ahead and
Right.
knock this out. So I don't think there's anyone this second that has 100% plans to commit, but most G days there is a commitment going down. And
Right.
Nitro Tuggle, the guy that they just had, he just dropped his top 10 earlier this month, and then said, you know what, forget that top 10. I know where I'm going, and it's Georgia. So that could happen again this weekend.
But the problem though, Matt, is that if you're okay, so it's a numbers game if you're the prospects, because when you're looking at Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia, the schools, those schools are recruiting a lot of the same players. So a lot of the players won't there won't be a space issue, because if those three are recruiting them, they will probably take all three would probably take them. Now, not in all cases, right?
Yeah. I
So there does become a situation. There's 12. How many are committed right now in 24?
believe there's 12.
Okay, that was off the top of my head. So 12. So you're looking at almost half the class is full, and it's going to depend on, your situation and your position. At quarterback, we know Georgia's really. Why don't you zone in on quarterback? They got one commitment. They got a kid that's very very possibly could be the number one quarterback in the country coming to Georgia. Explain that situation to folks.
Yeah, they didn't take a quarterback last year. Obviously, it was Arch Manning or nothing. They got nothing, so they're taking two in this class. Ryan Puglisi, the four-star quarterback, already committed. Today's his last day in Athens, so he took a midweek visit to Athens. He will not be at G Day. I think he's got a baseball tournament, but he was in Athens Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So he's been in town, and of course Dylan Raiola.
Oh, your mic cut. That's a
Mike
lot of
Cut.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. That was a lot
Yeah,
of individual attention for Raiola, but I mean for
yeah.
Puglisi. But go ahead with Raiola.
I think his only official visit is scheduled right now was to Georgia that first weekend of June, and
Right.
he was in Athens last month. And everything I've heard says that Georgia rolled out the red carpet and they took a kind of a commanding lead with him. I think it's just Georgia, Nebraska, where he has family ties to. His dad's an All-American there, and then of course USC. So I don't know if you can hear me yet, but
Yeah, but
he's a big deal.
the at SC is not. I mean, it's clear from their movements that that's not going to happen. I'm shaking my head about Nebraska. I mean,
Yeah,
that would be a great pull for Matt Rule, but
you're not picking Nebraska over Georgia, even with the
I would
family
not.
ties. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, just doesn't make any sense. And that which gets back to the point of a minute ago in terms of why do guys pull the trigger when they do? Well, a lot of it's timing in terms of, and then also how many boats are full. And at Georgia, the boat isn't full, but some positions could be getting closer to full, and offensive line is a spot where they're going to need to go ahead and talk about the O line situation, because that's a spot where they need to pick up guys or fill it with higher prospects.
That one's a little tougher because there are so many offers that have been, extended recently because there is no Amarius
Right,
Mims, there's no
right.
Broderick Jones, Jamari Salyer. There's just not those guys in this class, especially in the state of Georgia. I mean, they just took a three-star Malachi to sit a little bit and develop, and that's probably what they're going to have to do with this entire class. And especially if they want to take 5 each and every year, and there just aren't elite offensive linemen out there to go get.
In theory, Matt, you would take 5 every single year, because that would get you 20. Your mic is goofing up again. So I don't. I mean, if you take 5 every year, well, really that'd be 25 in a 5-year cycle. So there's no problem with that. But because right this second coming into 22, Georgia had 19 scholarship offensive linemen, of which 6 were true freshmen. I don't think any of them played hardly at all. Maybe Ernest Green, and now Ernest Green is in the middle of a whole fight playing tackle. But I think just all right. So anyway, this G Day, I would make sure you're continuing to go to Dog Post because we're not going to stop in the middle of G Day covering G Day to get on video to talk about it. But anyway, Matt, final thoughts on G Day's recruiting situation.
Another big one. Another big one. Maybe
Yeah.
commitment, maybe two. But in the end, big for the next several classes.
All right. Thanks for watching.